one of the things where finance and my education background served me well is at least in the Pampa, Texas area, I managed to reverse engineer the formula that appraisers use to appraise properties. So that way there's no surprise now. A lot of times deals fall through because the appraisal doesn't work,
Appraisal.
right? In a post 2008 world, you can't just window shop appraisers anymore. You've got to go through the lender and you're just at the mercy of the appraisal. Well, that's what my broker kept telling me. Well, we're at the mercy of the appraisal.
It's true.
And for me, that was unacceptable. So I found one of the appraisers that I met with, because you always show up, right, to the appraisal.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey, folks. Welcome back to the show. Today's guest is an investor based out of Pampa, Texas, with an education background and now focuses on flips. Please welcome Stephen Lee. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dylan. Appreciate it.
It's great to have you on here. We were talking a little bit before hopping on here about Texas and comparing it to some other places. But before we get into that, how did you get into the real estate space?
Yeah, I had wanted to diversify for a while, not in terms solely of investments, but what I did, I wanted to bolster job security. I wanted to do all these things. And I had taught real estate for several years, taxes, different areas within finance, personal finance. And I went from teaching for about 20 years in college, grad school, et cetera, to investing in real estate. I started with one coach who taught me how to wholesale. And then I moved into a different coach that taught me how to market, do online courses to make them and market them. And then I kept moving on to different coaches, and I basically had to fumble my way through and figure out what worked for me. And it was about a 2-year process.
Let's walk through the wholesale to the next asset class. I started out wholesaling too.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through some of these deals and walk me through what it was like starting out in wholesale.
Yeah, so I mainly helped my coaches with deals and various aspects, and it's so different compared to academics. So you learn, especially if you go through, let's say, a finance program, and you learn all pro forma, you learn how to do all these things. But it's so interesting when you actually get into it and do it, because just like every other field, right, every other industry, there are key differences. And people will say, well, I know that's what's in the textbook, but that's not how it's done here. Or you have all these regional differences. So worked on wholesaling for a while. For me, the hardest thing about wholesaling, I think, was the selling aspect of it. And that's a minimum amount that I have to do now because I'm now doing flips. But I went from wholesaling into sober living and Section 8 rentals. And then I just thought, there's got to be an even better way of doing this. So I wanted to get paid on the front end as well as on the back end of doing flips. And the way to do that is to swing your own hammer.
That's right.
So I do my own work, and I don't do the specialties, right? But I do my own general contracting work. And that way I do rehab loans. And on the front end of the rehab loan, my Rapid Gain Realty, which is my flip company, gets paid by my rental company, depending on whatever state it's in.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And so I'm able to, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to ask you about being your own GC. I actually worked closely with an investor in DFW, Dallas Fort Worth Metro, who I believe had some roofing experience in his background, but really just impressed me to the nth degree with his ability to manage these sites from top to bottom. And I said, wow, how did you learn how to do all of this? And it was basically, well, I didn't know how to do this initially. I started out as a roofer, hired someone. I saw, well, you can subcontract this out. You have to find the reliable people. What was your background in construction, really? And how did you
I didn't,
some of this?
I didn't have one. So I have a friend that does this with me, and so I have the financial background and knowledge, and he has the construction background and knowledge. So it works really well. So I teach him, like, as an example, one of the things where finance and my education background served me well is at least in the Pampa, Texas area, I managed to reverse engineer the formula that appraisers use to appraise properties. So that way there's no surprise now. A lot of times deals fall through because the appraisal doesn't work, right? In a post-2008 world, you can't just window shop appraisers anymore. You've got to go through the lender, and you're just at the mercy of the appraisal. Well, that's what my broker kept telling me. Well, we're at the mercy of the appraisal.
It's true.
And for me, that was unacceptable. So I found one of the appraisers that I met with, because you always show up, right, to the appraisal. You don't let them, just like for rehab loans, whenever you're getting the rehab holdback funds released to you, each tranche, you don't just let the you don't leave a lockbox and let the inspector go and just look around. You need to be there to provide context, to let them know what you're doing. Otherwise, they just have to guess based on what's there. So it's invaluable for you to show up, right? Just like when you're at a job site and the subcontractors are going to show up, you show up. And so for the appraisal, he walked me through how to do it. And he said, oh, well, we use a multiple regression formula. And my ears perked up, because that's what I would teach in real estate. And so I had statistics all the way up through financial econometrics. And so I asked him to send me what he had, and he did. And I used that and reverse engineered the formula that they use, at least that he uses. And so now I know how to do it, because he's been really great with answering questions, right? Because I expressed interest and curiosity in these types of things.
I want to pivot a bit and ask you, what was the growth process like, and was it very intentional, going from wholesaling to rentals to flipping? And I'm a wholesaler. Selfishly, I want to know, and I'm also a realtor, but I want to know selfishly how to go from being a wholesaler to then being in the rental space to then maybe doing flips, or vice versa.
Yeah, it was painful. It's the answer. I'm finally now just like on the upswing, right? And things are clicking in place, and things are working out really well. But it was, like I said, it took me about 2 years to figure everything out and find out what worked for me. And sometimes people do it really quickly, which is frustrating for everybody else, where it takes longer. But you have to stick with it. You have to, what we call on LinkedIn, a bunch of us who are entrepreneurs, we call it getting your reps in. So you've got to go through the reps. Just like if you're in the gym, you're not going to build the muscle and develop the physique you want if you don't do your reps. It's same with people in sports. And so doing the fundamentals and doing them over and over and over and over again is really important. And also recognizing opportunity and being cautiously optimistic and exploring, being flexible is really important. I had an opportunity the way I got into sober living. I had done the sober living program, went through that, and around the same time, I had an opportunity that was presented to me where a nonprofit wanted, they couldn't get their own building.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
So they wanted me to furnish the building, and we basically worked out an arrangement where I would bring the building and then they would cover all the forward costs. And then I would give them a buy option inside of a 30-year lease. And then they turn around and they license the beds. They have license agreements with the people that come in, and a shared living space. So I was put in contact with a friend. So it's networking. That's very important.
Huge. I'd say for a lot of people that are heavy on the education background, some of this stuff is not necessarily intuitive, because you would think that you would have to have as much book knowledge as you possibly can in order to do, commercial real estate deals like the one that you're, or larger real estate deals like the one that you're talking about. But so much of it is just, it's a contact sport. You've got to be out there. You've got to be meeting people. And in my experience, if I could do one thing differently from the beginning, it would have been to be less kind of cautious about being in rooms, or maybe I felt a little bit outgunned. But really, I think I would have been welcomed in a lot of these rooms because it would have been a breath of fresh air. And I now feel like on the opposite side, I would love to see more young people and old people, anybody really, who has the mentality, hey, how do I get my rental property? How do I get into my first flip? Can you teach me X? Can you teach me this? And I would love to tell them.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to be teachable. It brings with it a certain level of humility, I think, and realizing that you still have so much to learn. Because in real estate, you do. I don't even know if it's possible to know everything. Probably not. In real estate, probably not. Even if that's what you dedicated your life to doing, to studying real estate, there's just so much. And it's interesting too, because I think that's honestly what makes a professional is the willingness to always learn and learn. It's not like at first, I think you have to mentally say, okay, I need to realize I'm not the expert in the room. I am outgunned. But I think that approach, it's better if you assume that you're outgunned going into the room than assuming that because what are you doing there, right? If you know the most, right, then a lot of successful people would tell you, well, then you need to surround yourself with different people who are better than you, who know more than you, right? Because you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with is the same.
No question.
So I think it applies here too. Yeah.
I want to pivot a bit here and ask you about Texas, California. I know that you're involved in both markets. You mentioned Pampa, and I said, wow, another Texas town that I have not heard of, and I'm a Texas realtor. Shame on me. But also active in the California area as well. How is it being active in both markets? And also, how are you looking at deals maybe in California versus in Texas?
Yeah, it's really hard. Even though, and I wouldn't even chop it up state-wise, even though that's the way we normally do because all the rules are different. Like most states use the NAR forms if you're going to get a realtor involved, right? They use the National Association of Realtor laws. In California, it's CAR. So it's the same forms, but they've tweaked them, right? Because California usually doesn't fully agree with anything that goes on federally. They want to do their own thing. And so they want to make their own tweaks, right? So like California by itself, I don't know if you knew this, California has its own version of the EPA.
Whoa.
Yeah. So California it's very hands-on. And so I found that it's more helpful to think about it in terms of region. because each region could be completely different. The third state that I'm involved in currently is Wisconsin. That's where my sober living home is.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And that's where I'm also doing a flip remotely because I've got a general contractor there and a realtor there and so on. And it's just so hard because each area is so different in terms of its inventory, in terms of the seasonality, in terms of all the rules. In Pampa, Texas, which is very small, very rural, a lot of the rules are either non-existent or they're lax, right? They're relaxed because I'll give you an example. I was looking at doing a flip in Pampa, and I wanted to seal in a basement because there aren't that many finished basements in Pampa, Texas. There aren't that many basements. You would think there would be more, but especially finished basements, there aren't that many. In the last 12 months of all the homes sold, there's maybe 3 houses that have had finished basements.
Right.
So I wanted to finish the basement and add to the square footage. That's one of the value tricks that I always try to do is how do I add to the square footage? How do I increase the appraised value of the home? And so we were going to finish the basement. It was going to have like a living room, a bedroom, and a bathroom. And the problem is we didn't know where the main water line came into the house because that's where you're going to have to take the concrete saw and do all the work to put in the plumbing. And so we went to town hall essentially, and I figured out the office to go to ask them for the blueprint of that, or if they could tell me where the water line came in so we could see and we could plan it out. And they said, oh, it's residential. We don't keep blueprints. The builder just throws it away. Whereas if I do the same thing in California, and you better believe they're going to have it, right? They're going to have every permit on record. They're going to have the blueprints of the house. They're going to have all that stuff. So you just have to adapt. That's really the name of the game.
I want to ask you about, this is a very granular question.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? I mean, did you just, dig and hope and say, hey, tread lightly because there might be a water line here?
No. So yeah, there's a number of ways you can do that for that particular thing. So we wound up not buying the house.
Okay.
Because we couldn't. So the owners of that house is a company that's based in Houston, and they basically buy up foreclosures, usually through tax auctions. And so, because the way that my process works is I get paid on the front end via rehab loan, right? And the rehab holdback funds, my rental company pays my flip company. And then on the back end, my company, either I rent it out or my company sells it, right? Flips it. So depending on what's going on. And so I wanted to do a rehab loan because that's the process. And they wouldn't accept. So at least in Texas, and I'm trying to remember if this is true everywhere, one of the downsides of using a realtor is you have to use their forms, right? And so the downside of using the forms, unlike in Wisconsin where I use my own purchase and sale agreement that I got from my wholesaling coaches and so on, is that you have to, if you're going to use the National Association of Realtor forms, there's an addendum that you have to file if you're going to obtain a loan. And on that piece of paper, you have to put the maximum loan amount you're going to obtain and the maximum interest rate. How in the world that is the business of the seller is beyond me. It makes zero sense. That's one of the things I tell people. You have to realize sellers have the advantage. They're in the advantageous position because not only do they own the real estate, they're the NAR and all these entities, right, in real estate have lobbies, and they've done very well for themselves, at least in Texas. So it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating because it's why in this world it's like me going to the seller and saying, well, I'm gonna base my offer on what you paid for the property. Well, that has nothing to do with me, right? It's none of my business what they paid for the property. And Texas is a non-disclosure state, so they don't
Right.
have to tell me. It's
Are
not
there,
public knowledge.
are there any strategies, Stephen, where, people can talk about on the wholesale side,
Yeah.
double closing and this type of thing, pass through funding to where the
Hmm.
end buyer doesn't know the acquisitions price? As a realtor, I'm pretty sure I actually cannot do that because that would
Right.
be not fully disclosing all the
Correct.
material facts. But as a wholesaler, you can.
Yeah.
Is there anything
Right.
similar that you could do when you're talking about rehab loans and this type of thing and interest rates and making it so the seller doesn't have access to that information? And you probably couldn't do that as a realtor, but as an independent investor, is there anything that
Oh
one
yeah. No, I just use my own purchase and sale agreement because
I
I'm not using a realtor, but there are benefits to having a realtor. The realtor knows the market better than you do,
they're
right?
so
The realtor will be able, yeah, they'll be able to tell you, okay, this is what the inventory's been like over the last 12, 24, 30, whatever months. So they'll be able to identify seasonality, like when is a good time to enter into the rehab loan, fix it up, because you're looking 2 months out usually. So they'll say in 2 months, the inventory is probably going to be here if it goes up and down like this. So anyway, to answer your prior question, sorry for
yeah.
getting off track, is that the company wanted to be the bank. So it's interesting because in real estate, you'll come across, if it's company owned property, you'll come across companies that will only take cash sometimes, or they'll take cash, or they'll accept a rehab loan if that's what you're going to go get. But they will not, under any circumstances, do owner financing. There are other deals where they say, well, we'll take cash, but we really want to do owner financing. And it's like this. It's like a lot of people over here and a lot of people over here. And it's so interesting to see. It's kind of like whenever you're in the lending space, right? And you're obtaining a loan from someone in the lending space, and it matters. It's like life or death of whether or not you're going to occupy the property. It's like everything changes for whatever reason. So when I'm doing these rehab loans and even DSCR loans, I have to sign all these documents that say I will not under any circumstances occupy the property. Whereas other loans, you have to, right? FHA, VA, all these, you have to occupy the property. It's so weird in real estate. You just come, you run into all these different things.
This
And it's so
conversation
bizarre.
exactly
Yeah.
what makes me want to be a lender. Actually, I was just thinking about this
Oh
because
yeah.
this short sale and foreclosure course that I completed, and I was
Oh cool.
walking through this. I was thinking like the lenders really are the most, in so many ways, the most important. You mentioned the appraisals and how often deals break down because of the appraisal. But we
Hmm.
we are actually coming up on time here, Stephen. Where can folks go if maybe they've got a deal in one of the Texas markets, or maybe in California, and they'd like to reach out to you, get your feedback on it, or if they're in the greater Pampa area and they'd like to reach out to you?
Yeah. So the two people I would say that I'm always interested in meeting are general contractors who want to work on places, but they're not going to buy it. So want to meet with general contractors, and I also want to meet established nonprofits to do the sober living and Section 8 work with on the rental side. So you can go to rapidgainrealty.com. I also am on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram where I post my reels for the rehab work, looking at properties, and I can provide you those links as well.
Stephen, thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Dylan.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.